Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well and are all having really nice weeks. Today I'm going to be filming for you my second video in my 5 book recommendations within a certain genre or theme series I've got going on here on my channel, and I'm really happy about it. And in this one I'm going to be recommending books that all have BAME characters or authors, and so let's just jump straight into the recommendations. So the first book that I want to recommend to you is Stay With Me by BAME Adebayo. This is a literary fiction novel that is set in 1980s Nigeria, and it follows our protagonist Yejide and her husband Akin. And when the couple are struggling to conceive a child after a couple of years of trying into their marriage, Akin is pressured by their family and the general society in which they live to take on a second wife. I found the insight into Nigerian culture and society absolutely fascinating in this novel. I felt like it really taught me a lot, and I just thought it was so interesting, especially with regard to the high levels of superstition that revolve around childbearing. The characters in this novel are extremely multidimensional, especially the main two characters, Yejide and Akin. I just thought they were brilliantly drawn, and seeing all the different ways that the occurrences in this novel affect their marriage was particularly interesting. As well as all this exploration of really interesting themes such as marriage and deceit and motherhood, this book is actually much more plot driven than I expected it to be when I went into reading it. It's really quite twisty and turny and almost reads like a thriller at times, which was a great surprise to me whilst I was reading it. It just really explores how far strong female spirit and kind of damaging male pride can push two people. This is just a brilliant literary fiction novel that really gives an insight into Nigerian culture, but it kind of does its own unique thing as well. Next, I want to recommend to you a book that I only actually finished a week or so ago, but I absolutely loved it. It just really struck me, and I had to talk about it in this video, and that is Don't Call Us Dead by Danez Smith. This is a new and contemporary poetry collection by Danez Smith that discusses many different extremely relevant and immensely important issues that are kind of at the heart of modern day America. Poems in this collection explore themes of sexuality, particularly what it is like to be a gay black man. It also explores gun violence against black people, and also what it is like to be HIV positive and how this can in some ways define you. The poetry in this collection is so unflinching. It just really had a profound effect on me whilst I was reading it, and it stuck with me after I finished reading it as well. I just feel like Danez Smith did a brilliant job of transporting me into his life, if you know what I mean. He just really made me understand a lot of issues which I wouldn't otherwise, because I won't be experiencing them firsthand myself. The poems in this collection are also just so beautiful. The language choices and the rhythms created were just so wonderful, and it also managed to make me feel so many different kinds of emotions. I felt shocked and angry and deeply sad, but it also kind of had this hopefulness about it too, as Danez Smith imagined a world that was a sanctuary for everyone everywhere. If you want an incredibly relevant and really insightful poetry collection that explores themes of race, then I cannot recommend this one more highly. To be honest, I just think that everyone could benefit from reading this collection. Next, I'm going to recommend for you another literary fiction novel, and that is White Teeth by Zadie Smith. This novel follows two families who live in North London throughout the 20th century. And the two families that we follow are the families of Archie, who is a very stereotypically English man, and his best friend Samad, who is a Bengali Muslim. So in this novel, which is fairly long, we just follow these two families and all of the different family members over many decades. It's really intricate and rich in detail, but it's epic at the same time and really broad in scope. There are so many different characters in this novel, and they're all believably flawed, which is quite impressive, and I really appreciated that. But in particular, I found it interesting to read about Samad and his family in this novel, because he is kind of considered foreign to those around him in London, and he is devoutly religious and married to a woman who he was arranged to marry. This novel explores themes of race, religion, cultural identity, and one's history as well, and I just thought it was so interesting to see the way that this all played out against the backdrop of North London. Honestly, I just think this is a spectacular novel, and I would highly recommend it. Next, I'm going to recommend a non-fiction book, and that is Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay, and this is a collection of Roxane Gay's essays. Among other things, this collection discusses contemporary feminism, social media, the representation of women in film, and reproductive freedom. But the reason I'm talking about this collection in this video is because it discusses the really interesting relationship between being a woman of colour and also being a feminist. So one of the main things that I took away when I read this collection is that contemporary feminism massively underrepresents women of colour and also queer women and trans women as well, and that this is a massive issue and is highly unacceptable. As a whole, I didn't necessarily love this collection that much because there were aspects of it that I didn't really agree with and some aspects that I just didn't really enjoy reading about as much as other parts. But the parts that were discussing the relationship between race and feminism was so fascinating and really important. It was something that I hadn't really thought about much before, and I don't think people really think about or address as much as they should. And so I would highly, highly recommend this for that aspect. Finally, I'm going to recommend to you Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Elias. This is my favourite ever young adult book, and it tells the story of two boys, Aristotle and Dante, who become best friends over a couple of summers, and we just witness their relationship and see how they develop as individuals. This book is often branded as an LGBTQIA+ read because of its brilliant discussion of sexuality and what it's like to try and find yourself in this sense while you're growing up as a teenager. But the book also offers a really interesting insight into how young people in particular can be conflicted about their ethnic identity, and I just think it deserves to be recognised in this sense much more than it is. Both Aristotle and Dante are Mexican American in this novel, and one of the things that Dante struggles with quite frequently throughout the novel is how Mexican or how not Mexican he portrays himself to be. This is just a brilliant YA book that discusses so many different important issues, and it also has brilliant characters and writing as well. It's just the whole package, and so if you haven't read this book yet, please just go out and do that. So those were 5 of my BAME recommendations. I would absolutely love to know your thoughts on any of these books if you've read them, and also if you have any BAME recommendations for me, then please leave them down below. It's something that I'm really wanting to read more of, and I just feel like I always could read more of it, and there's always room for improvement. So if you do have any recommendations, please be sure to let me know down below. So, as always, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week with my next one. Bye!